Hi everyone and welcome back to AV Vlog. In this video we're going to see some advanced HTML and some basics of CSS. So let's start. Now before we move on, make sure that you know the basics of HTML. Now if you don't know, you can check my previous video, I'll link that down in the description below. And also make sure that you have this extension installed called Live Server. Now what this extension does is that it reloads the web page automatically whenever we save our code, so we don't need to manually go and refresh it. So now let's start. Now first let's see how to add links to our web page to another web page. So to do that, we need to add an element called the anchor element. So we need to type a, and then in the first tag we need to add an attribute called href. And then after that we need to add a pair equal to sign and then a pair of double quotes. Now inside this double quotes we need to add the reference to another file that we need to link it to. So here I've got another file called about.html. Now it just says hi, so we need to link this about.html to index.html. So whenever we click the link, it will lead it to this page and then it will run the code which is there on this page. So we need to type index.html. Now if both of them are in the same folder, we can just type in the name of the file. But here I have it in a different folder called index. So first we need to type in the name of the folder index / the name of the file about.html. Now after doing that, we need to give a name. So let's just say click me. Now we need to save our code and we need to open it in our browser. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to click open with live server. So over here we can see that our link is there, click me. Now if we click this, you can see that hi is printed. Now let's see how to add tables to our web page. So to add a table to our web page, we need to add the table element, and inside these tags we need to specify the rows that we want to have. So first let's specify a row. Now a row goes horizontally like that. So inside this we can have the headings for our table. That is, we need to add a th tag, and inside this we can type the name of our heading. So I'm going to say name, and then I'm going to add another heading called age, and I'm going to have only two headings. Next we need to specify another row. Now in this row we're going to have the data for these headings. So to do that, we need to add a tag called td, and inside this we can give the data. So that is, for name let's just say John, and for age we can say 20. So now if I save this, you can see that name is John and age is 20. Now that's how we can add tables to our web page. Now we can see that there are no borders for this, but we can add that using CSS. Now let's see the basics of CSS. Now first let me say what is CSS. Now CSS is the abbreviation for Cascading Style Sheet. Now CSS is mainly used for styling our web pages, like changing the color of text, changing the size of images, etc. So now there are three places where we can write our CSS code. Now one place is inside the head section, we can add a tag called the style tag, and inside these tags we can write our CSS code. Another way is inline, and another way is an external style sheet. Now in this video I'll be mainly using the style tags. So now let's start. Okay, so now I have a heading 1, that's a h1 tag. It says hi there over here. Now we can use CSS to change the color of this text. So inside the style tag we need to access the element that we want to modify. So it's the h1 element. So here we type h1, and then we need to add a pair of curly braces, and inside this we can change the properties of this element. Now if we select h1, if we have multiple h1 elements in our web page, then it will modify everything. So if I say I have another h1 and if it has hi there, now if I'm going to change the style of this. So inside these braces, let's just say we want to change the color. So we need to type color and then colon, and then we need to type the color that we want to change it to. Let's just say red, and then we need to finish it with a semicolon. Now if I save it, you can see that the red color has been changed. So it's red in color, and then the other hi there h1 tag is also red in color. Now if you want to change only the first one, we can do it by the following way. So here we need to specify an ID. So type ID equals to, and type a pair of double quotes, and inside those double quotes we need to give a name. So let's just say heading. Now instead of h1 over here, we need to type a hashtag and then the name of the ID. So it's heading. Now if I save this, you can see that only the first one is red in color. So that's how you can access elements by the ID method. Now over here we can also change the font of the text. So say font family, and then we can select any of the fonts over here. So let's just say, let me select a random one, and then if I save it, you can see that the font is changed. Now we can also increase and decrease the size. So on a new line, let's say font hyphen size, and then we can set it to small, medium, larger, etc. You can also set it in centimeters, percentage, etc. So I'm going to select medium over here, and if I save it, you can see that it's reduced a little bit. Instead of medium, if I say larger, and if I save it, you can see that it's a bit bigger. Now there are a lot of other properties that we can change with CSS. Like for example, if I say font weight, that makes the text a bit bolder. So we have bold, bolder and lighter. Let me type bold, and if I save it, you can see that it's a bit bold. Now over here I've got an image, and let's modify it using CSS. So here I've accessed the element by the image tag, so it's img, and inside this we can modify it. So let's say we need to decrease the height or increase the height. So type height, and then we can change it by pixels, centimeters, percentage, etc. Now I'm going to use pixels, so I'm going to increase it to 300 pixels. So I'm going to save it now. You can see its height is bigger. Now you can also change the width. So let's just say width, colon, and then let's just say 250 pixels. And then we need to finish it with a semicolon. And let me save this. That's a bit too narrow, so I'm going to say 500 pixels. Now that's perfect. So now we can also keep rounded corners. We can do that by border radius, and then we can set it by pixels. So I'm going to say 50 pixels. If I save this, you can see that we have rounded corners. Now if we want to have a completely round image, you can set the border pixels to half of the number of the width. That's it for this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next video.